very, very conservative knowledge. Even the hospital was a place of learning. They had books and they also had schools, as we will see. They had a psychiatric wing. What does that mean? Psychiatry is amrad nafsiyya, psychological diseases. Yeah? So they had a psychiatric. And they had a psychiatric wing. In other words, they had a makan mutakhassisa amrad nafsiyya. They had a place which was specific for mental illness, which was called the psychiatric wing. It's what we call it in English. They had a psychiatric wing. Yeah? It wasn't janaha, janaha lil-amrad nafsiyya. This is what it literally means, but we call it a psychiatric wing. Okay, the next thing now, mashallah, this is amazing. The patients, they would wear special clothes. They would wear special clothes to stop microbes, to stop germs from spreading. This is mashallah hundreds and hundreds of years ago, before anybody in Europe even knew about germs, before anybody in Europe even knew about sabun. They didn't even know about sabun, they didn't even know about soap in those days. Yeah? And many people were very, very ill because of the spread of germs. Became very, very ill. This did not happen. If you look at the waba, there was a big waba that afflicted Europe. The one was called the Black Death, Maut al-Aswad, this is the Black Death. Another one was called the Great Plague, the Waba al-Kabir. These two, they killed many people in Europe. But in the Muslim world, تأثرهم قليل. Yeah, the impact of these diseases in the Muslim world were very, very little. Why? Because they were clean, because they had nafafa, because they had prevention of germs. They didn't let the germs spread, so if somebody becomes ill, they quarantine them, they separate them off. All of these things now, like when you had COVID, the first thing they talked about was quarantine. In your uzla, find the quarantine, yeah? Like you put somebody away so the germs don't spread. This idea is from the Muslims, from Ibn Sina and from others, Zaharabi and others. They're directly from them. The idea is somebody is ill, then put them in this. Even some of the Sahaba would talk about this. Yeah, this is even in the very early generations. If somebody becomes ill, you put them away so that the disease doesn't spread. Yeah, so these ideas again. So this is one example. The Ahmed bin Tulur Hospital in Qahira and Cairo. This inshallah will give you a picture, an idea of what a Muslim hospital would have been like. Yeah, so let's look at another example. There was a large hospital in Baghdad. So there was a large Mustashfa al-Kabira in Baghdad. Yeah, there was a large in Baghdad. Baghdad was the biggest city in the world at that time. Baghdad كان أكبر مدينة في العالم في هذا الوقت. Yeah, Baghdad was the biggest, the largest, the richest, and the most important city in the world at that time. And it was the capital, Asimatul Bilad al-Muslimin. It was the capital of the Muslims, and it was the most important city in the world. So they had a large hospital that had 24 physicians. 24. What do you call a physician in Arabic? هذا صاحب الجراحية. كيف نقول هذا في العربية? Well, how do you call a physician? A surgeon in Arabic. Jarrah. Yeah. So there are 24 jarrahun. Yeah, there are 24 physicians that would do surgery, and they would have specialists. They had extra skills, not just the basic. They weren't normal doctors. They had extra skills. Yeah, so there are 24. Again, mashallah, this is amazing. In Europe, many centuries later, before they even had one physician in the hospitals. Yeah? Like, what did they used to do in Europe? If somebody became ill, they just used to take them to a room, they sit in the room and they die. That's what used to happen. They sit in the room, no treatment. Maybe they just help them, say some kind words to them. They didn't know how to treat them. This is what used to happen in Europe. This is well known. Again, this is everything that I'm saying here. None of this is from Muslims. This is all from what the non-Muslims say. So nobody can say, oh, the Muslims say this, of course. No. This is historical haqiqatul tarikh. This is historical fact. Okay, another example, we have the Nuri Hospital in Damascus. So in Damascus, in Sham. Again, it was a large and a vast. It was kabir wa wasi'. It was a large and a vast hospital. Another example. Okay. Al-Mansouri Hospital in Qahira and Cairo. So another hospital now, called the Al-Mansouri Hospital, that was in Cairo. So let's have a look at this hospital. Again, look at what they had here, subhanAllah. First thing, they had 4 entrances. Yeah, 4 like madakhil. So it was a big place, they had 4 different entrances, a fountain in the center. So it had a fountain, it was a place of sakina, tumanina. This is very important for mental but also physical illness. If somebody is ill, if they are in a calm environment, يعني ممنوع بالطمأنينة والسكينة, هذا يساعدهم. This will help them to get better. So they understood this. The Muslims understood that if you are in a place of peace and tranquility, you will get better. Okay? Also, they had many physicians, many doctors, and they had a lot of equipment. The beds had mattresses. Yeah, the beds had mattresses and running water was available. MashaAllah. Yeah, they had water. They had water running, which again in those days in Europe, even the kings did not have running water. Even the King of England did not have water. He did not have it. Even the King of England. And here the hospital in Cairo, everybody had, in all the hospitals they had running water, so it became very easy to clean things and to help them. They had a special room for teaching. They had a special room for teaching, like training, tadrib al-atibba, to train the doctors. They had a special room for this. And they had medicines that they would give to the patients to take home. Yeah, like a pharmacy. They would give them medicine to take home, so they treat them, they say heal the medicine, take them home. This is what we see today. Like when my father was unwell, they did this jarahiyah, and after the jarahiyah they give him some medicine. Now they said go home and take these medicines. This is what they do today. This idea is from the Muslims, and this idea is from the Muslims. Now, this is a very important part now, the European influence. The first thing we see is hospitals. The first hospitals in Europe, where were they? The first hospitals in Europe, يعني أول مستشفيات في أوروبا كانوا موجودين في أي أماكن. Where were they? في Andalus, in Muslim Spain. في Sicily, yeah, which is Muslim Italy. The Muslims were in charge of the south of Italy and Spain. So the first hospitals in Europe were the Muslim hospitals. Yeah, the Muslim hospitals. So they appeared everywhere. Then what do we see? The Europeans admired these. Yeah, the Europeans they could see the benefits. They could see the goodness of these hospitals. Yeah. So the French in particular, what did the people of France, the French, what did they do? They started to develop systems like hospitaliers. They started to make like very small hospitals. Yeah. مستشفيات صغيرة, and hospitals that were mobile, small hospitals that can go. This is how they started to learn from the Muslims. It was too hard, it was too difficult for them to build a full hospital. Yeah? ما عندهم طاقة لكي يبنون يعني مستشفى كاملة وكبيرة. So they couldn't do this, so they started with small hospitals. Yeah? Then what do we see? The very first hospital, the most famous hospital, one of the most famous hospitals was the Salerno Hospital. Salerno is a city in Italy. Salerno is a Medina في Italy, في جنوب Italy. So the Salerno Hospital was one of the most famous examples of European Muslim hospital. Yeah? And it was probably the biggest hospital in Southern Europe. كان أكبر مستشفى في جنوب أوروبا كاملة. Yeah, it's the biggest hospital. Yeah? So this is the first thing is the Muslims were in Europe. Yeah, the Muslims were in Europe 80 years after the Prophet ﷺ left this earth. After the Prophet ﷺ passed away, 80 years. The Muslims in Europe. Then not only were they in Europe, but look how much they benefit to the Europeans. Look how much nafa, how much benefit, how much goodness they gave to the Europeans. They taught them all of these things. Yeah, we'll come to some good questions after this shortly. Okay, now just some things now. The glory of Islam. So hospitals were managed very efficiently. So the idara of the mustashfa was, mashallah, in itqan fi hada. They were very, very good. They had excellent systems نظامهم جيد. They had excellent systems for managing the hospitals, so when people would come in, they would get treatment very quickly. And they would get looked after, and then the next person comes in. They had a very good system. They had good records, bookkeeping. So they know if someone was ill, and then 1 year later he comes back, they have his record. All of these things we see now in Europe. All of these things now in hospitals in Europe, we see these records. It's exactly, exactly what they copied from the Muslims. There was 1 or 2 major hospitals in virtually every city, subhanAllah. So the 100 cities in the Muslim world, maybe more. To start with the one, maybe then as they got bigger, maybe more than 100 cities. Every single city had 1 or 2 big hospitals. So think about this. In the lands of the Muslims, في بلاد المسلمين, they had over 200 hospitals, when in the lands of Europe they had 0, صفر. They had no hospitals at all, and the Muslims had 200 hospitals. So how is it that now they are ahead of us? How? What's happened? This is a سؤال فقط للتفكر. كيف الآن عندهم تقدم يعني فوق ما عندنا? How are the Europeans ahead of us? The answer is we know. The answer is because we have abandoned these teachers from the Quran. That's the answer. But that's a long discussion. We're going to go into that now, inshallah. Okay. Now here we go. So what do we see? We have this historian. I forget his name now. He's a famous historian. I think he's called Campbell. He said that the hospital, the Mustashfa, is one of the finest proofs. It's min al-aqwa adillah, for the izzah of Islam, for the glory of Islam. This is a non-Muslim. He says the hospital, he visited the Muslim lands. He said the hospital is min al-aqwa adillah li izzat al-Islam. It's amongst the finest proofs, the most ajmal adillah, the most beautiful proofs, the finest proofs for the glory, the might, the glory, the beauty, the perfection, and the strength and the power of Islam, the glory of Islam. You could see this. Yeah, so this is where the izzah of the Muslimin was, and this is where our izzah will return, inshallah. Our izzah can only return once we serve people. And once we serve people, then people will see the izzah. I will come to you, inshallah. We can have a discussion after. And then, like I said before, Amrad al-Nafsi, mental illness was also treated with wards established exclusively for the mentally ill. In other words, they would have places in the hospital just for the mentally ill. They would have a place just for people who have psychological problems. Now again, as Muslims, we were very ba'id from this. Now as Muslims, we have very little understanding of mental health, very little understanding. Even in Britannia, in America, the Muslims are very behind on this. Yeah, they're very behind. If someone has a mental health problem, they blame it on the jinn or something like this. Yeah, and notice obviously that it has to also be studied and understood. Yeah, so a lot of this has now been ignored. Yeah. Okay, now very, very important. Another amazing thing: surgical instruments. Alat al-jarhiyah. Yeah, alat al-jarhiyah. Yeah, the surgical instruments. 80 to 90% of the surgical instruments we use today in the West are from the Muslims. 80 to 90. بين 98% آلات الجرحية مستعملة اليوم that are used today in the hospital today من المسلمين. وأكثرهم من واحد شخص اسمه الزهراوي. الزهراوي is one person. He's called the father of surgery, or the father of surgery. Abu Jarahiyya, the father of surgery, al-Zahrawi. He wrote many books. One of his books that he wrote a medical encyclopedia. He wrote a big book just on medicine. In this book, he mentions more than 200. أكثر من 200 آلات الجراحية. He mentions more than 200 surgical tools that he talks about for different types of surgical procedures. Subhanallah, different types. Yeah. He gave detailed instructions. Yeah, so he came with detailed instructions on when and how to use the instruments too, as well as hand-drawn sketches. يعني كان يأتي بالصور. يعني الصور حول صور تبين كيف نستعمل. These pictures would explain how do we use these instruments. Yeah, And he would also tell them when to use them, how to use them. Mata wa kayfa. Yeah, we'll explain these things. When do you use them? How do you use them? This is the picture of how to use them. He explained it in detail. Those pictures and those instruments to this day are being used. Yeah? So Zahra'is, what they did is they took Zahra'is knowledge and then they've changed the name. So they've taken Zahra'is name and they put some other person's name on there. Haqiqa, this is the reality. Yeah, they've taken his name and they put John Smith. They put the name on there. This is the khiyana. This is khiyana fil naql. This is treachery in narration. You should just be honest. You should say this is. Mathalan, for example, the Muslims, we learn from Aristotle. We learn from Plato, the Greeks. We don't lie about it. We say in the books, this is from Aristotle. We don't have to lie about this. But for example, Mantiq, who's the wadi, who's the founder of Mantiq? Aristotle. Today, to this day, you will read in the Muslim Sidq and Amana. But here, what they did was, for 1,000 years, now they're admitting it. Yeah, after 1,000 years, now they're saying if you go to the universities in America and even the UK, they will tell you these things. They will explain these things to you now. But they didn't for many time. Okay, so even more amazingly, religion has changed from these early descriptions of the past 1,000 years. Yeah, so we don't see tabdeel, we don't see tagheer. The same pictures, the same instruments are being used today. 1,000 years later, nothing has changed. So Zahra'is is 1,000 years ahead of his time. This is taqaddum. Yeah, 1,000 years ahead of his time, Zahra'is. So here we go. What did they use? Scalpels, knives, saws, scrapers, drills, forceps. All of these are instruments, alat jarahiyya. Any doctor, any surgeon, you ask them, what do you use? They say, we use a scalpel. We use knives, we use scrapers, drills, forceps. These are all used. Musta'mal umuma. These are all used by surgeons. All of these are mentioned in this book. And this is the first book in history that talks about scalpels and drills and there. So he was the first one to develop this, rahimahullah. Okay, what else then? Some other very important things. The next thing is the circulation of blood, majli ad-dam. So if you ask people, if you go to England now, yeah, مثلا you go to England now and you go to the university, not this, you go to the university. مثلا الآن أنتم تأتون إلى بريطانيا في الجامعات وأنتم تسألون. You ask the people, من هو أول شخص يتكلم عن مجري الدم? Who was the first person who spoke about the blood circulation, flow of the blood? They will say to you, it was Harvey. واحد شخص اسمه Harvey. Harvey came 600 years after Ibn Nafis. فهمتم يا؟ So Harvey جاء 600 سنوات بعد Ibn Nafis. Yeah, but they will say to you, Harvey. So this is Ibn Nafis talks about many other things he talks about. Ibn Nafis, he talks about amrad al-nafsiyya, he talks about psychology, he talks about different types amrad al-nafsiyya. Yeah, and these things are now in the books today, and they will say, Masalan, you will read a book on psychology, on ilm al-nafs, and they will say in the last 30 years we found these things. هم يقولون قبل 30 سنوات وجدوا هذا الفرق بين هذا المرض ولكن Ibn Nafis 700-800 years ago he's talking about these things, many years ago. Yeah, he was a long way ahead of his time. The Qanun, this is the book, the Qanun by Ibn Sina. The Qanun was used in Europe for 700 or 800 years. Up until the 19th century it was used, 600-700 years. The Qanun by Ibn Sina, this book, مستعمل في Europa. 6 أو 700 سنوات أو أكثر من هذا. Yeah, so they would use the Qanun is the foundational text. It's the foundation of European medicine. Yeah, it's the asas. It's the most important. It's the kitab. It's the kitab of Tib. It's the Qanun by Ibn Sina. It's the book that they use and they rely on. Other things we have Al-Mawsili. Al-Mawsili talks about the rule of cataract. You know, cataract is something in your eye. Yeah, you have something in your eye called a cataract, and they remove this cataract. Al-Mawsili talks about this. Ibn al-Haytham also talks about this, and many others. And again, the Europeans, many years, centuries later, 600, 700, 800 years later, they started to do this. Yeah. Inoculation. What's inoculation? You already have the jab. What do they call this in Arabic? Huh?
Injection.
Immunization. Injection. Yeah, immunization. So immunization نفس الشيء. يعني حماية من بعض الأمراض تسبب بهذا الشيء. نعم فهمتم؟ This inoculation. Where did this come from? Turkey, Turkey. Muslim Turkey, the Ottomans. Yeah, the Ottomans. Dawla Uthmaniyya and Dawla Uthmaniyya. Yeah, the Ottomans were the first people to talk about inoculation. Inoculation. This is one of the most important parts of medicine today. One of the most important parts of medicine today is treatment, inoculation, like injections and these things. Again, this idea came from the Muslims and it was developed by the Muslims. Yeah. The pharmacy is also a Muslim invention. The pharmacy itself. Yes, indeed. Here we go now. This quote here is from a non-Muslim called Campbell. Campbell is a famous historian and he's a mutakhasis fi tarikh al-tibb. Yeah, he's a specialist in the history of medicine. Yeah, he's a specialist, a non-Muslim. Yeah, like they say the shahada of your enemy, shahadatul a'da' aqwa shahada. Yeah, this is the shahada of someone who doesn't believe in Islam. Yeah, he doesn't believe in Islam. He doesn't have any love for the Muslims or anything like this. He's just telling us the truth. Yeah, speaking the truth. What does he say? He says the European medical system, نظام الطبية كان موجود في أوروبا والنظام الطبي الأوروبي is Arabian. Yeah, is Arabian. يعني Muslim. Not only in origin but also in structure. يعني هو يقول هذا النظام عندنا في أوروبا نظام طبي أصلها من المسلم. أصلها من المسلمين وحتى بنيته من المسلمين. Yeah, the structure of it is Muslim as well as the origins of it is also Muslim. Yeah, so this is this is an open confession, this is an open admittance that everything we have in medicine today, the vast majority of what we have in medicine today, most of medicine what we have today is from these great people of the past, from the great Muslims of the past. And not just the Arabs, see the Arabs, this is not right. Many of them were Persian. Many of them were Persian. Some of them were from Turkey, different countries. Now, some of them were from Central Asia. Yeah, they were, maybe most of them were not Arabs. The Europeans, they have this bias. It's the Arabs, it's not the Arabs. It's not very, look at Imam Abu Hanifa, he was not an Arab. Imam Abu Hanifa was an Arab. How many of the great people of language, the great Persians, that Sibuwayh, these people, how many of the great thinkers, they weren't Arabs. So it's not Arab, we say Muslim is better. The European medical system is Muslim, we say, not Arab. Why Arab is for the Muslims that have contributions from everywhere. Yeah, mashallah. Okay, so this is again, like I said, it's an admittance. Okay, inshallah. So that's what I want you to say. Inshallah, we can stop the live stream now. Inshallah, we can stop the live stream and we go into some discussions with you guys. Okay, the first thing, is, does anyone have any questions? هل عندكم أسئلة قبل أن نراجع؟ هل عندكم أسئلة? Does anyone have any questions? Any questions on what we learned about today? هل عندكم أسئلة عن أي شيء درسنا اليوم؟ أنتم تحتاجون إلى الوضوح عن أي شيء؟ لا بس. If you do have questions, سأسألكم. Okay. So what can somebody tell me here? Can somebody tell me about them? Can somebody describe any sifli mustashfa al-muslimiyya? Can somebody describe to me a Muslim hospital? Can anyone here describe to me a Muslim hospital in English? Obviously, not Arabic, in English. Anybody describe? Yeah, Bismillah. What you describe? The mic, I don't know where the mic is, Afan. Do we have a mic here? Yeah, no, but you can come to the front.
There are some, you can say, like features or characteristics for the hospitals of Muslims. First of all, they have free treatment for all.
Fantastic. So the first thing, I will repeat, by the way. The first thing he said, free treatment for all. This is one of the signs, min al-alamat al-mustashfa al-muslimiyya. The first thing, free treatment for all.
So there are about 2 bathhouses.
MashaAllah. So some of them, they would have 2 bathhouses, hamaman, lil-ilaj.
In addition to there is a rich library.
MashaAllah, they will have a maktaba kabira. Yeah, they will have a big library that have many different books. Good.
Besides, there is one for the psychiatric.
ما شاء الله. They are the psychiatric wing. They are the مكان خاص للأمراض النفسية. They are a special place for psychological illnesses. Okay?
Also, there are some like 4 entrances. For each entrance there is a fountain.
ما شاء الله جيد. So one hospital they mentioned, and this was something we see in many hospitals. One hospital had 4 entrances, yeah, أربع مداخل, and each one of them had a fountain. How do you say fountain in Arabic? What's that? Nafura, mashallah, thank you. Yeah, so each one had a nafura, and this nafura is useful. It helps to give sakina to the mind. Yeah, this is why they had it. They had these fountains to help to create a good bi'ah, a good atmosphere. Yeah, okay, good, mashallah. Okay, how did hospitals? This is the next question. How did hospitals come into Europe? كيف تدخل هذه الفكرة المستشفيات؟ كيف تدخل هذا إلى أوروبا؟ How did it come to Europe?
It came from most of medicine from Europe.
Yes, okay, good. So there's 2 points, very good. The first thing is the idea of medicine. The idea of treatment came from Ibn Sina, Ibn Nafis, and these other people. That's very true. What about hospitals? Anybody? What about hospitals?
Spain.
MashaAllah, Spain and also Italy. Very good. And the first one that we see, the most famous one that we see is in Salerno.
Also, they stopped doing small hospitals because they don't have the power to build big ones.
Fantastic, very good. So the French, the people of France, they started with small hospitals. Yeah, small hospitals, because they didn't have the ability. So look at the French now. Look at the things that they say against Islam, even against the Prophet ﷺ. They should be ashamed, because they wouldn't even have a hospital if it wasn't for the Prophet ﷺ. They would still be living in tents by the river. That's the reality. They used to live in tents by the river. The Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ, he gave them everything that they had, and I look at how they treated. Allah protect us. Allah guide them and guide us as well. It's shameful, isn't it? Now look, just to insult somebody else is bad, but what about somebody who helps you, who gives you everything that you have, and then you insult him? It's the nature of kufr, unfortunately. Allah protect us. Okay, good, mashallah, very good. I want to mention some things about, I want to do a recap of, sorry, go on, Ahmed, bismillah. Ahmed, can you have your hand up?
This surgery when the Europe came the doctors, they came back the doctors from Europe.
Yes. From the Muslim, very good. Yes, surgery, excellent. We forgot to mention. Thank you very much. So said that we have got this Zaharawi, the father of surgery. So many of the instruments, the instruments of surgery, are also taken from the Muslims. Yeah? So much of surgery that we see today, and we have to be fair. نحن المسلمون إن شاء الله نحن أصحاب العدل. We have to be fair. Just, mashallah, we have to be fair. The Europeans now they have done many amazing things in surgery. We don't deny this. We don't want to be like them or say no, they didn't do anything. No, to be honest, mashallah, they've done many amazing things, and that's really good. But most of that, what's the asal of it, is from the Muslims. They've developed it as well. I'm not saying that they haven't. They've developed many new things too. But still, 80 or 90% of it is still from the Muslims. Most of it is still from the Muslims. Only 10-20% is new. Yeah? MashaAllah. And the other things, the pharmacy, inoculation, all these things there. Alright. One other thing I just want to mention, and then inshallah we will do our reading practice. So somebody who was somebody, you tell me, otherwise I will pick somebody. Where did they? We haven't heard from each of them. What is education?
Education.
What is education now?
Education is about schools, universities.
Jayid, very good, excellent. The process of learning, yeah, we can say the process of learning that takes place in madaris, schools, jamiat, universities, yeah. Yes, very good, mashallah. And we can also say it's like very good, mashallah. Okay, when did education begin? When did education? What's the first example? أول مثال التعليم الإنسانية. بسم الله. MashaAllah, okay, very good. So we can say that the education began, or the Muslim began from the masjid definitely, but there's something else before that. Go on.
It began from the term Alastu.
From the day of Yom al-Alas, we call it. In Persian they say this, and also in Urdu as well, they call it Yom al-Alas. And maybe this, I don't know if they have this in Arabic or not. The day of the Alas. the day of Allah's revelation. This is the first thing that we were taught, La ilaha illallah. Yeah, very good, okay. These are the opinions. Alright. What were the key educational institutes in the Islamic world? So, in the Muslim world, people would go and study. Where would they go to study? يعني ما هم أماكن مسلمون كيف درسوا في أي أماكن في تاريخ المسلمين. Which places would they go to study? Like if that, yeah,
Mosques?
very good. The mosques, that was the first place, but yeah. Any other places?
Some institutes.
And institutes, mashallah. Yeah, so first they had mosques. Now what happened was the mosques, there were too many people. The mosques were too small. So they started with the mosque, so they had to then start building. So they started to build madaris. They started to build schools. What else did they build? What did they, yeah, what?
The regular schools and universities.
MashaAllah, yes. So they had madaris al-am, regular schools. And then they had jami'at, universities, for mutakhasisun and for ulum al-alam, you can say, like higher knowledges. Yeah? They also had medical schools. They had madaris mutakhasisun al-tib. Yeah, madaris al-tibbiyya. What subjects did they used to teach in these Muslim schools? What subjects did they teach? Yeah, yourself?
Quran, Hadith, history, chemistry, physics.
Fantastic, yeah. So they would have they would teach the Quran and the Hadith science, and they would teach history, and they also had other subjects. They would teach grammar, يعني علم النحو. They would teach balagha, rhetoric. They would teach mantiq, logic. They would teach ilm al-falak, astronomy. They would also teach these other subjects. But the first thing, the foundation, the asas or the asl of it, of course, was the Quran al-Kareem itself and then the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, good, mashallah. Okay, and the rest of it we covered last time. Okay, no problem, inshallah. What we'll do now is can we turn to our books? And can we turn to page 3 in the book? Okay, yes. So which page is this? Oh, second, sorry, page 2. Page 2. Page 2. Sorry, can I just hold it? Can you see this here? The second paragraph, yeah? The second paragraph. So what we will do is, Qasim, you're okay to take this group, yeah? This group is okay, mashallah, yourself. I will share between these two groups. So same thing, I want you to read one paragraph each. Yeah? I want you to read one paragraph each. I'll check with these other format, inshallah, yeah? So practice your reading, read one, so Qasim, get them to read one paragraph each. Yeah, it's from here, yeah? You know where we are? Yes, it is a teacher, but yeah, so you did okay. I will focus on this guy. Okay, first of all, who's going to read? Just a
Civilization, I am not
Sulaiman famous ruler from Sulaiman the Magnificent, they call him. This is Sulaiman al-Qanun. He's very famous, the most famous of the Ottoman rulers. This one, he's the next one. Indebted. Difficult. Tolerance and مسامحة. Understand tolerance and then مسامحة على like we tolerate for nice people, you understand that. Like for example, if you have مثلا مسامحة على الصلاة kind of idea, like you tolerate for the other accepting, yes, respecting others.
Different kind of behavior.
Like say, yeah, very good. Very focused. Very MashaAllah, very good, excellent. This was a very difficult paragraph. MashaAllah, excellent. So meritocracy is when you have a system where the best person gets the job. So for example, imagine you are my son. I don't give you the job because you are my son. I give you the job because you're the best person. Okay? So it's a system where now after he's the one. Yeah. فهمت هذا. All this all this like brought together or يستعملون or yeah, they use or they brought together. Yeah, so they use all of the capabilities. So all of the abilities of the different people, they will use all of them. Based on them. Nurtured as a tarbiyah, kind of nurtured. No, it's different. So nurtured, yeah, that nurtured يعني يربون. كانوا يربون ثقافة وحضارة وعلوم. Yeah, so you're gonna.
Why does girls no, why?
Why do the Muslims not take from it today?
Why?
I know some do. I know some people that study these things. Yeah, they're still studying medicine and there's some people that we have a Hakim there's a place in England called Leicester. There they have a school that studies they still books there. Yes, they still study history this day. So there's a place it's called Leicester, it's a city in England. You go there, they have a school, they have a special college. Some do. No, many do. Many students do. They still study it. But the problem is they call it Greek medicine. They don't call it Islamic medicine. Yeah? So they say it was Greek medicine, took it from the Greeks. They won't accept that it's actually the Muslims. This is the problem. Diana, can stretch it. خلاص